Om. 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 Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu, ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Sai Ram, and welcome to the Sri Sathya Sai Center of Arcadia, and a very warm and special welcome to our guest speaker, Dr. Joe Phaneuf. Dr. Joe Phaneuf received his MD degree from the University of Michigan Medical School and is a practicing dermatologist. He served as Chief of Medical Staff Education, San Leandro Hospital, California, and as a communication consultant for Kaiser Permanente. He has been guided by the teachings of Sathya Sai Baba since 1986, when he first had the good fortune to speak with Baba. He also worked in Swami's General Hospital. Swami's teachings have guided and inspired him to be a more compassionate and loving physician and focus on becoming a good human being. In the SSSIO, Dr. Joe serves as chairman, USA Medical Committee, and advisor for the Sri Sathya Sai International Leadership Program for OAs. He is also the medical director for the Ashland Free Medical Clinic, which was the first SSSIO free medical clinic in the USA that started in 2005 and was inspired by Swami. In fact, I was in Region 7 retreat just this last weekend. It was a wonderful retreat, and Dr. Joe was speaking there. It was like a great treat, the way that he brought the message with the songs and the message of Swami. It was really, everybody was really inspired. So it is really nice for us to have Dr. Joe here. Let's give a warm welcome for him. Dr. Joe.
Loving Sai Rams to all of you. Thank you very much, Krishna, for the warm welcome and introduction. And thank you for inviting me to be with all of you. I'm very, very happy and very honored to be with all of you. And today, I would like to express my gratitude to our dearest Swami and help us focus on how all of us can focus more on expressing our gratitude to Swami for everything he does for us. And one of the best ways I think we would all agree with is to put his core spiritual practices and prayers into practice in our daily lives as a best way of expressing our gratitude to him. So with that in mind, I'd like to start with one of my favorite teachings of Swami, which is on Advaita. And for those of you who have not seen this picture before, this picture looks like it's photoshopped, but it's really not. A few years after Swami started his college for boys in Vrindavan, he made a surprise visit to the classroom one day. He walked in and said, "Today, I'd like to talk to you about loving communication." And then he waved his hand and he materialized this picture. as it is. And not just one picture, but 30 pictures for each student, 27 students and the 3 professors who were teaching the class. And then he proceeded to say, this is Advaita, or non-dualism, in practice. Treat all as Swamis, and yourself too as Swami. The difficulty is when the other Swami is behaving badly. At that time, you remain the good Swami. Isn't that the truth? And so this was the main focus, or one of the main slides and teaching points for the Sathya Sai, Sri Sathya Sai International Youth Leadership Program. And this helps students.
Dr. Joe, I think the presentation you have to share. I think.
Oh, I thought I was sharing it all this time. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Can you please go ahead and share the presentation, please? It's coming up. Yes. Now, yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Now
awesome. Now people can connect with the picture. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. So this is a picture that Swami materialized and explained that this is Advaita in practice. And so when we realize that we are Swami on one side and that we're always speaking to Swami, no matter who we're speaking to, that will help us speak with more love, patience, and understanding with everyone we meet. And also, when I look at this picture, it will help in all aspects of our life, because I remember one time, right after Swami opened in the early 1990s, the first super specialty hospital in Puttaparthi, and there was a story I read in the Sanatana Sarathi about 3 eye doctors, ophthalmologists, leaving the hospital to go get darshan from Swami. On the way out of the hospital, they passed an old man that was just barely able to get along on a cane, and he said, "Doctors, I need help with my eye." And the first 2 doctors said, "I'm sorry, this clinic is closed. You can come back tomorrow. We'll be happy to take care of you." So he's very disappointed. However, the 3rd doctor came up to him and says, "Please, sir, please come with me. I'll take you to my office right now and I'll help you." So the doctor was there a long time past what darshan would normally be. Then when he finished taking care of the patient, he was happy, he went to darshan. And Swami, as soon as he came and sat down, Swami came right over to him and said, "Very, very happy. I came to give you my darshan and you took very nice care of me. However," and then he pointed to the other 2 doctors, "these 2 doctors just ignored me and just ran to darshan and didn't help me at all." He says, "Very good. Service to patients is service to me." And so this had a very powerful effect on me, and realized that when I, could picture Swami and the patients, no matter what time they showed up, it would be a big blessing and gratitude. So it really helped me in my practice. And also, I oftentimes had patients come late, and also come late after the clinic was finished. And this happened many times at Kaiser Permanente. And whenever that happened, I might have had an urge that, oh, how come they came late? But then it just went away, because I remembered that story and I remember Swami's in them. And so I remember one time at the end of the day, the receptionist came in to see me. It was about a half an hour after closing time. She says, "Dr. Phaneuf, I'm clocking out now. However, a couple just showed up that didn't even have an appointment, and they wanted to see you. And not only one patient, both of them wanted to see you as an appointment." So she said, "I have to leave now. I will check them in if you want." And so I walked out, and I just took a look at them, and I just saw the twinkle of Swami in their eyes, and I just had a heart-to-heart connection. And it was just like, Swami visited me, and it was anyways, this teachings has helped me to serve patients no matter when they show up. And I know that Swami has tested me many times when the clinic is over or during the lunch hour, people would show up. And also at the Ashland Free Medical Clinic, the same type of thing has happened many times. So I think Swami is continuing to test me to make sure, as Swami says, always be ready, always be ready. So anyways, thank you for all the chances not only myself, but all of us have to serve you, Swami, in whatever profession that we are in. And so this is a song that Swami gave me many years ago, and I thought it was helpful as we focus on the concept, this picture of the fact that we're Swami, and everyone we see and interact with is Swami. So the first verse is about seeing Swami in every person, and then it's very easy to spread his precious love, communicate with love, and help everyone. The last verse focuses on remembering that we're Swami and acting as if well, acting the way we know Swami would treat everyone. And the middle verse, the second verse, is about something we can all relate to, seeing Swami as our role model, and we want to be more like Swami, spreading his love and his light all day long. So we'll sing this together, and all the songs I'll be singing will be unison. Oh, dearest Swami, please help me see the Almighty in everyone. Help me to spread your precious love to everyone, everyone, everyone. Oh, dearest Swami, you're the best role model, you're the best that I've ever seen in this whole world, wide world. Wanna be like you, wanna be like you, wanna be like you. Please help me love and to serve just like you. Oh, dearest Swami, please help me see that you and I are one. I know you're God, that means I'm God, yes I am. God, I am God. God, I am God. God, I am God. Thank you, Swami. As we continue our focus on gratitude, I'd like to show a video of Swami speaking about gratitude to our parents.
నీకు అందిస్తేనే థ్యాంక్స్ అంటావే నీ జీవితానికి ఆదర్శవంతమైన విద్యను అందిస్తుంది మీకు ఇంత ఉపకారం చేస్తుంది చెప్పలేదు. If the handkerchief is given to you, say thanks. But if your entire life is given, should you not express gratitude? But we don't expect such gratitude. But it's your duty. Do your duty. I do my duty. Swami doesn't discriminate whether you are good or bad. All are good to Swami. But you do your duty. Swami duty చేస్తున్నాడు. ఏం చేస్తున్నారు చాలా మంది పిల్లలు మీ తండ్రి చాలా కష్టపడి మిమ్మల్ని చదివిస్తున్నారు, ఎంతో పని చేసి శ్రమించి డబ్బులు సంపాదించి మీకు వెళ్ళడానికి ఈ డ్యూటీ చుట్టూవాడు ఏం చేస్తాడు. Swami is doing so much for you. Today, what are we doing? Your father is struggling hard to help you, to finance you. But you say, it is his duty. Father is doing his duty as father. But as a son, or you doing your duty as a son? When father does, you say it is father's duty. Having given you birth, having looked after you, having fostered you, you should not do your duty. You look only in one direction, but not the second side.
Thank you, Swami, for that beautiful reminder. Swami said many times that there's one thing we should never forget, and that's the good that others have done for us. And it all starts with our parents and everyone else who's helped us. And the benefits of practicing gratitude, which I think a lot of people are doing these days, there's many different people who are talking about this with a daily diary and practicing gratitude to the many good things that are happening to us and all the gifts that Swami has given us, this body, all the organ systems that are working perfectly. And I've noticed that when I practice gratitude on a regular basis, it makes me very, very happy. And everyone I've talked to who practices gratitude has shared that it also makes them very happy. So our gratitude all starts with our parents. This is a picture of my dear mother. And when she was alive, we used to talk every day on the phone. And invariably, we talk about Swami. Even though she's the devout Catholic and the deity that she worships is Jesus Christ, she loves Sai Baba's teachings because it's exactly the same as Jesus Christ. And we talk about Swami's teaching, we would, every single day. And she just loved his teachings. Her favorite one, and this is a lady who prays a lot. She gets up in the Brahma Panam, and usually around 4 o'clock, 4:30, and she prays for 3 hours. So she is a person who really knows a lot about prayer. This is her favorite saying from Swami when he talked about the power of prayer. Prayer is man's only strength and God's only weakness. Isn't that beautiful? Prayer is man's only strength and God's only weakness. And so Swami always answers our prayers. It's not always immediately. It's not always exactly the way we hope. However, he always answers it in a way that is absolutely best for us. So as we think about all the ways that our dear Lord takes care of each and every one of us all the time, let's sing a good old-fashioned gospel song to Swami called God is Good. God is good all the time, God is good. He's so good to me. Whenever I need him, he is there. Whenever I call, he answers prayer. God is good, he's good all the time. God is good to me. Thank you, Swami. Continuing on, and this is another teaching that is very powerful from our dearest Lord, is the power of thoughts. Swami has said, you are not weak and helpless. Every strength and power is within you. God you think, God you are. Dust you think, dust you are. And this is there was a little placard or a sign up in the Western Canteen where I would read this every single day when I went for lunch and dinner. And it really had a profound effect on me, knowing how positive our thoughts are. And you know, many people who come from all different walks of life and religions also know about this, and they talk about it in a different way. Over this past week, I was in a car dealership, and I walked into one of the offices, and I noticed that the manager there had a sign up that said, if you think you can do it, you're right. And underneath it, if you think you can't do it, you're right. So our thoughts create our reality. Whatever we think we can do, we will do it, because as Swami says, we're all powerful. We can create whatever reality we want. Swami says, what we sow, we reap. So he goes on to explain, when a thought comes in our mind, we sow a thought, we reap an action. We sow an action, we reap a tendency. And so it goes to habits, character, and finally destiny. And so it all starts out with thoughts, which is why Swami has given us the acronym WATCH, and to watch our thoughts, because it all starts there. And if the thought is a good one, it'll be a seed that produces something very powerful in the future. Swami has said that we really don't have any free will. However, he said we do have limited free will, and it's only in the present moment. So he said when a thought comes up, we should, evaluate it, whether it's a good thought or not. And by the way, it's been estimated that each of us has 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts every single day, and most of them are repetitive, and the thoughts we had the previous day, etc. However, when a thought does come up, we should evaluate it to see if it's good or bad. If it's good, we can encourage it, like, I want to help this person. If it's not good, then we should discourage it. Now, some people, including myself, will have trouble, because sometimes, when there's a bad thought that you're trying to get rid of it, and if we just try and discourage it and say, I don't want you, leave, it sometimes gets more powerful. However, Swami has given us some help on that. He says one of the things you can do is, if you can't handle a thought, it's not good. He says, give it to me. I can handle all your thoughts. I'll take it from you. So we can say, Swami, I don't like this thought. I can't handle it. Here, you take it. And Swami said he will take it. Another analogy that he gave us is, it's similar to when we get a thought and we want to get out of our mind, we're having trouble. He said, it's like darkness. If we're in a room and we say, darkness, go away, it's not going anywhere. However, all we need to do, according to Swami, is turn on the light. So we can just turn on the light. And what is the light? The light is Namasmarana, the 5 proclamations, prayer, service, thinking of Swami, offering him our thoughts. So in other words, all we have to do if we're having a hard time with thoughts is bring in the light with all the spiritual practices Swami has taught us. And so when we practice gratitude and focus on the things we're grateful for, there's a law of nature that brings more good things into our lives. Swami has said thoughts are in fact things. They are powerful in the root cause of what we experience in life, either good or bad. And whatever we focus on, positive things, that expands, or if we focus on negative things, that also expands. Now, Swami gave us some positive affirmations, and this is a very good way to reprogram our minds. And so, of all the proclamations, this is the granddaddy, I would say, of all positive proclamations. And it's actually a prayer that Swami gave us with 5 points. And he gave this during birthday time in 1983. And it was a long discourse, and he went into this in great detail, line by line. And just before he gave the 5 proclamations, which is one of the reasons that we decided to include this in the core teachings of Sai Baba for the youth leadership program, is because he said something that he rarely says. And his exact words are, and I quote, "If you're yearning to experience Brahmananda, the Satchidananda is sincere and pure. From this moment on, keep ever in your mind what I'm about to tell you." And then he gave us the 5 proclamations. The first one was, I am God, I am no different from God. And after that, he said you should repeat this throughout the day. And then he gave the second one, I am the indivisible, the absolute supreme. And again, he said a similar thing. You should repeat this unremittedly. You should repeat it throughout the day and keep it ever in your mind. He did the same thing with each proclamation. The third point is, I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa, which means I'm pure being, awareness, and bliss. And then the fourth one is second from the last line, grief and anxiety can never affect me. And the fifth is, I'm ever content, fear can never enter me. And so these are things that we should keep ever in our mind. And he said another thing that was very powerful after he gave the proclamations, he said, repeating these and having the awareness of Brahman. So having the awareness of Brahma from repeating these is the same as the status of Brahma itself. So this is a really powerful one. I'm going to sing the song that was made up that includes the 5 proclamations plus an additional line. And so Swami recommends that all of us keep this in our awareness by either saying the prayers, or perhaps some of you who like doing devotional singing can do this song. And so we can sing it together. I am God, I am God. I am no different from God. I am the indivisible, the absolute supreme. I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa. I'm pure being, awareness, and bliss. I am Om Tat Sat Om. I am Om Tat Sat Om. I am love, I am truth, I am peace eternally. I am ever content, fear can never enter me. Grief and anxiety can never affect me. Yes, I am Om Tat Sat Om. I am Om Tat Sat Om. I am God, I am God. I am no different from God. Thank you, Swami, for these 5 proclamations that help us focus on our true reality. Okay, now Swami has talked about the secret to happiness many times, and other people do it too from whatever tradition they come from. A good friend of mine, Dr. Scott Abramson, who's a neurologist, and I also used to work with him as a communication consultant doing workshops on communication with doctors, which, by the way, the interesting part is the communication workshops that Kaiser gave, I started doing shortly after I found out about Swami, and they have exactly the same principles as Swami says for loving communication. It's pretty amazing. Anyways, my friend gave this talk over the lunch hour, and the basic take-home message was this: the secret to happiness is attitude, and the secret to attitude is gratitude, just what we're talking about today and what Swami has said. And Swami has given this example. I have this glass of water here. It's half full, right? Now, Swami said the optimist is going to say that, wow, they're going to be happy that they have a glass of water and they're going to thoroughly enjoy it, and they're optimistic that in the near future they'll get another glass of water, or at least half a glass. Swami says the pessimist, however, will look at that half a glass of water and won't even enjoy it because they're lamenting the fact that it's only half a glass. So really, everything in life can be interpreted in different ways. And so I think if we consciously decide we want to be optimists, we can do that, and we're going to be a lot happier. And we'll be thankful for everything we have rather than thinking about what we don't have. And a lot of us have been programmed in ways that may not be helpful. As an example, I grew up as a Catholic, and I still feel that I'm a practicing Catholic. And one of the things that I was reminded about in church all the time is, you're a sinner. You're born a sinner. And the thing is, I certainly agree that, I've sinned, and I think many of us have. However, our nature is actually divine. So it's good to remind ourselves of that, and these proclamations certainly will do that, as well as all the other teachings of Sai Baba. And Sai Baba has said many times, and I know all of you have heard this, he's said it so many times, he said, happiness is union with God. And all the things we're talking about, remembering Swami, remembering that our essential nature is divine, seeing God in every person, doing service, singing bhajans, doing namasmarana, all these things will help us be united with God and will bring us great joy and happiness. Another video by Swami on gratitude.
First, gratitude is very essential. Not only this family, you have to express that to if you don't have gratitude, you will be ungrateful. Because most of the people have forgotten the help they receive, they have become ungrateful. Therefore, they suffer a lot. We should never forget.
Thank you, Swami. Yes, another reminder that always remember the good that others have done for us, and that'll make us very happy. Okay, so this is a picture of me working at Swami's hospital. I think this was in the late 80s or maybe early 90s. I first worked in this hospital on my first visit in 1986. And this is a cubicle that's in a corner of the pediatric department on the men's side. And right across from this is this wonderful poster with a teaching that Swami gave the doctors and everyone else. He said, accept whatever happens, whatever comes your way, as a gift of God, to be enjoyed with great satisfaction, regarding it as a gift of love given for your own good. So I used to read this every day, so it was ingrained in my memory. However, I didn't realize how powerful and useful this was until Swami tested me. So one day I was speaking with one of the doctors, I think it was Dr. Mahendra Patel, and who was an internist, and I worked side by side with him on many trips. And he said, Joe, I was just wondering, all of us doctors were sitting up on the veranda. You're the only doctor that's working in this hospital that's sitting in the public lines. How come you're not on the veranda? And I said, well, I don't know, but I says, I haven't been given permission to sit there, so I don't. And so I says, is there someone I need to talk to? And he says, well, you could talk with the administrator, in the ashram, and I think he's in charge of seating. So I proceeded to do that one time over lunch, and so when I started talking with this person, before I could say very much, he said, wait a second. He said, are you saying that you're working at Sai Baba's hospital? I said, yes, sir. He said, we don't allow Westerners and foreigners to work in the hospital. That's not allowed. He says, I can't believe they let you do that. He says, from this moment on, you're out of that hospital. You're not going back to that hospital. And actually, I'm so upset with this. You may get kicked out of the ashram. I was in shock. It was, the lunch hour, and I was supposed to be going back after the lunch to see patients in the afternoon. And so I didn't know what to do. So I just went back to my room, and I started just remembering this prayer over and over again. I was saying, Dearest Swami, what did I do wrong? What lesson do I have to learn? And then I would repeat this prayer, accept whatever happens, whatever comes your way, as a gift of God, to be enjoyed with great satisfaction, regarding it as a gift of love given for your own good. And I tell you, dear brothers and sisters, even though this prayer was helpful, I was still I was devastated. I was in a state of shock. And it was kind of like Swami said that, if we break a bone or have some other reason for having serious pain, a doctor can give us a shot of morphine and it won't make the pain go away completely, but it'll make it more tolerable. And that's what this prayer did for me. And so at this point, I didn't know if I'd be allowed to stay in the ashram or what was going to happen. And so I went to evening darshan while I had the opportunity. And after the darshan was over, my friend who I had mentioned I was talking to, Dr. Mahendra Patel, he spotted me way out in the public lines. And so he came over to me, he says, "What happened?" He said, "We were worried about you. We had this huge long line of patients for dermatology that went all the way down the hall, out into the entrance. And we had to send him home. We said, we don't know what happened to him, but, we'll come back tomorrow. Maybe he'll come tomorrow." And so I explained the situation. And so he said, "Well, Dr. Aldreja gave you permission to begin with." And Dr. Aldreja was superintendent of the hospital at that time. And he said, "Well, why don't you go back and talk with him again tomorrow morning, make sure it's still okay." So the next morning I went there, I spoke with Dr. Aldreja, and he did give me the permission to continue working. And ever since that time, I didn't have any trouble. I was allowed to work at the hospital. And I certainly didn't ask to sit on the veranda again until Swami gave me permission later on. But anyways, I tell you, this teaching has helped me not only during that episode, but in every other up and down, the difficult challenges I have in my life. And we all have difficult challenges in life. Who doesn't? Swami says, as a matter of fact, I'll show the video. The next video I'm going to show is from Swami, and he talks about that. And it's a perfect segue from this particular quote because it shows Swami giving out gifts, okay? And as Swami said, in that gift, you don't know if it's going to be a good experience or a bad experience. However, both are gifts to be enjoyed with great satisfaction. So let's watch this beautiful video from Swami on the importance of surrender.
Take it as God's gift, whatever may happen. Even the difficulties. Pleasure is an interval between two pains. The pleasure is an interval between two pains. And there lies the happiness. Without a pain, you cannot know the value of a pleasure. Without darkness, you cannot know the value of light. Therefore, difficulties are also God's gift.
Thank you, Swami, for these beautiful teachings. And as we're focusing on this thought of surrender and how we can put it into practice in our life to get through the challenges in our life, we're going to sing a couple songs of surrender. And the first one is Om Jai, Thank You, Baba. And the third line says, "Thank you for the good times. Thank you for the bad." Okay, here we go. Om Jai, thank you, Baba, thank you, Baba. Om Jai, thank you, Baba, thank you, Baba. Thank you for the good times, thank you for the bad. Thank you for your loving grace and the darshans I have had. Thank you for your miracles which always come on time. Thank you for your humor side, it lightens up my mind. Om Jai, thank you, Baba, thank you, Baba. Om. And the next one is a favorite song we like to sing at the Oakland Center, Sai Baba Center. Into your hands I lay my spirit. Into your hands I lay my spirit. Into your hands I lay my life. Into your hands I lay my spirit. Into your hands I lay my life. Into your hands I Into your hands I lay. Into your hands I lay my life, 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 my life. Now, the next thing I'd like to touch on is what Swami has said about Padnamaskar and how all of us can give Swami's Padnamaskar anytime throughout the day. There was a short period of time, I don't know how long exactly, maybe several months, where Swami announced he wasn't given Padnamaskar anymore. And he didn't, at least in public, what he did in the interview room. No one knows except those in the interview room, but for a good amount of time he didn't. One of the times that I was there, the doctor who was the doctor who would get permission for us to work, from Swami, usually during Guru Purnima or birthday, and then Shivaratri, and then before long, also Dr. Reddy would be getting the permission for us. But anyways, Swami would talk to Dr. Radha Bhattina every single time in darshan, and so when she got the opportunity, she said, "Swami, we've noticed you stopped giving Padnamaskar, and we're confused. Can you explain?" So he looked at her, and he said, "Your service to your patients is my Padnamaskar. I cannot give you anything higher than that." And so after darshan, she shared it with all the doctors, the ladies and the men, and that had a really powerful influence on my life, because I realized that every single interaction I had, not only with a patient, but everyone else I was talking to in life, the person at the grocery store, it's basically, if I would, connect with them and realize the divinity in them, I would be receiving Swami's Padnamaskar. So I just want to make it clear that even though he said it to the doctors, this applies to all of us. So when parents serve their children, when children serve their parents, when we take care of our clients, our friends, our neighbors, everyone at work we work with, this teaching applies to all of us. Our service to others is Swami's Padnamaskar, and he cannot give us anything higher than that. So now we all know how to give Swami's Padnamaskar at any time, and I'd like to tell a story about Padnamaskar now that happened that was really powerful, because after this, I heard this, I tried to remember that in each and every person that I served at the clinic, but also everyone that I would meet, including the people at, like I said, grocery shopping or wherever I went. And in any case, so I got a chance to do a lot of this at Swami's hospital. And one day, it was late in the day, and actually Dr. Reddy helped me with this, because this was, I brought a little thing that the young adults helped me get together to thank Swami. It was our 3rd anniversary for the Ashland Free Medical Clinic, and then I showed it to Dr. Reddy, and he made a few suggestions for a few revisions so that it would be appropriate to give to Swami. And I was trying to give it to him every single day, and even though I was sitting on the veranda at the time, I was like in the middle of the pack, and I wasn't on the front row where I could hand it to him, so I was unsuccessful. On the second from last day, it was, and this goes back to the initial thing that I shared about Swami telling the story of, after clinic, instead of running to darshan, just take care of whatever patient is there. So at the end of a long day of seeing dermatology patients, everything was over, and then just when I was getting ready to leave for darshan, one of Swami's students came in, and this young lady was from the Anantapur College, and she came in with her parents, and the whole family was super close with Swami. This particular lady, I learned later, was a gold medalist and did so many amazing things. Anyways, she came in with her parents and said, "I need help." So I instead of going to darshan, of course, I stayed there and I helped them. And as I normally do, I pictured Swami in her. And also she had a foot problem, so I needed to touch her feet. And so, as I do with many skin problems. But anyways, so as I'm touching her feet, of course, all this is internally. I'm not saying anything out loud. I had an experience that was one of the most powerful things. I could feel Swami's energy, and it was exactly like what it felt like when I received Padnamaskar from Swami. I've been fortunate to get Padnamaskar with his divine physical form many times. And I was just in bliss. And so I finished taking care of them and, writing the prescription and sending them off. And then everybody left for darshan, and it was really, really late. And I was, quite certain that Swami would no longer be out for darshan. It would be in the bhajan hall, perhaps, where he goes after darshan. But to my surprise, he hadn't come out. So it was packed on the veranda where the doctors were, but someone on the front row, Dr. Gadia, scooted over and let me in on the front. So I finally had a chance, and to be close to give Swami this. So Swami walked out. Since it was late, he just quickly walked through the women's section, and then he came up and completely ignored all the doctors, where he usually gives a lot of attention, and just completely kept a distance as he walked around. And then he came straight over to where I was sitting, and he put his hand out like this, and to receive this. And so I gave him the letter, and then he let me come up and kneel next to him and take Padnamaskar. And I had a chance to express my gratitude. I started thanking Swami when he called me in for my first interview, and he said, "Never thank me." He said, "Never thank me." And so when I would tell him, "Swami, I want to express gratitude for all the help you've given for the clinic," he would accept that. And anyways, he was very happy, and he continued to look at this all the way around the darshan and back until he went back to his room. And so this was a great blessing for our clinic and everyone who worked there. And so far we've had getting close to 900 volunteers that have worked there in Swami's clinic, most of whom are not Swami devotees. However, they all practice Swami's teachings as far as giving selfless service to others. And anyways, so I was very happy, but also I thought this was a good acknowledgement for all of us that when we actually see Swami in another person as we're trying to serve them, as I did on that last patient, he will bless us in so many ways. And so this is, I think, a blessing not only for me, but for all of us when we serve others, starting at home, in a loving, selfless way. We'll be receiving Swami's Padnamaskar, and he'll bless us and be very happy. And this will make us very happy too. So this is Swami's hospital. For those who don't know what it looks like, the general hospital next to the ashram. And this is actually my first interview with Swami, and it was very interesting because he caught in the lady doctors in the morning only, not the men. And then he spent a couple hours with them, and then he said, "I'll call you again, and I'd like to spend more time with you. I'll call you again this afternoon." And then Dr. Radha Bettina said, "Swami, can you also invite the men too?" Thank goodness. She asked, and he says, yes, they can come. And so we got a chance to come in, and I was so fortunate. I was able to come in with all the doctors, and I was fortunate to be able to sit right at his Divine Lotus feet for approximately, it was, I think, 2 hours, very long interview. And we asked Swami many questions, and he asked us many questions, and we discussed many spiritual topics. I'm just going to talk about one thing that he mentioned in the interview room because I want to expand on it. One of the doctors said, "Swami, we know Namasmarana is important. However, we're doctors. We're busy." I mean, every profession is busy, not just doctors. Anyway, so Swami's response to that was, he told her, he said, "You should do Namasmarana incessantly, constantly." So the other thing that Swami has said to many of his students as they do exit interviews, as he gives them advice, the first thing he'll normally tell is to, tend to your patients with, tenderness and devotion, do everything for them you can. And then he would invariably also say, whenever you have a spare moment, do Namasmarana. Whenever you have a spare moment, do Namasmarana. So obviously, this is a very important teaching. And so I'd like to just, as we focus on the power of doing Namasmarana, whenever we have a spare moment, and I can tell you this gives me such happiness and peace when I do this throughout the day. So as we think about how we can put this into practice more and more, if we're not already doing it, let's sing a song together. But before that, just a couple other things. And I think I'm looking at the time, and it looks like I'm coming up to 45 minutes. Or actually, I am at 45 minutes. So I'll just go through the song, and then we'll end, if that's okay, Krishna, with you. So Swami said Namasmarana purifies everything, including our minds, the whole atmosphere, everything. And he said, don't worry about understanding how it works. He said, it's just like when you eat. You don't know how you digest food, but the inner fire, the divine fire, digests our food, and it nourishes the whole body. The same way, that when we do Namasmarana, we may not understand it, but it will constantly purify our minds until the point that we understand our true reality. He also cautions us that if you do not practice applying the name of God on your tongue, you will not get the chance to say it at the last moment. It is only when you constantly think of God throughout your life can you recite His name at the last moment. So, I think we'll just do one song and I'll just finish after this as we dwell on the importance of Namasmarana. Repeat His name, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Repeat His name, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Say it with love, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Say it with love, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Picture His form, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Picture His form, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. He is everywhere. Feel Him shining within you. He is everywhere. Feel Him shining within you. Ram 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 Ram, Sai Ram 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 Ram. Ram 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 Ram, Sai Ram 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 Ram. Ram 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 Ram, Sai Ram 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 Ram. Ram 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 Ram, Sai Ram 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 Ram. Ram 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 Ram, Sai Ram 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 Ram. Ram 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 Ram, Sai Ram 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 Ram. Repeat His name, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you all for your kind attention and allowing me to share with you love and Sai Ram to each and every one of you.